Hello, everybody. Logan here. I've been trying to get a better understanding on how the world works and how I am going to be able to have a future for myself and my future family, or whatever. Because it definitely seems like with um, all the surveillance and propaganda and unclear thinking that has been aggressively propagated in the world, I realize that this is psychological warfare, and I'm not to get entrenched in that because I already see the pattern that is arising. I already see that there is probably the military industrial complex, the technological industrial complex, or whatever controls that in which is below, and much of these um, governmental agencies like CIA, DIA, NRO, or whatever are very compartmentalized, and each person within these industries do not really know the bigger picture on what they are doing, why they're doing what they're doing, a lot of the time, unless you have top security clearance. But what I am trying to get at is that in order to raise your consciousness, you're going to have to detach from the opinions of others. You're going to have to be the consciousness. Well, you are already consciousness, but be the observer in which um, does not fall for your own human nature, who gets an understanding of who you are at a base level as consciousness through your observation and raising your consciousness also through acquiring knowledge, through questioning everything and having one certainty that if you do not collapse into matter or make a decision now what the truth is, because much of this that is propagated in the surface level of the government and media is an illusion. And I want to help give you tools with this channel to be able to raise your consciousness and be able to transcend these control structures that has been propagated in the scientific community, in their funding, in the media, the government, and whatever, and be able to see the structure that has been manifested since World War II, and even the kingship structure expressed in the Eye of Providence since the kingship established in Eridu, where these and I'm going to get a better understanding of these bloodlines and whatever. What I'm trying to say is, don't fall for the illusion. Be very curious. Relax, because if you have a rigid view of reality in only a logical manner, of course, logic is important, but as long as you are open yet skeptical at the same time, you're not you're not to make a decision right now because there's too much information. If you're not well read into these subjects like extraterrestrial life, if you're not well read into the nature of consciousness and matter being an illusion, meaning matter is just spinning vortexes of energy, if you're not well read into this subject, you're going to fall into this construct of reality that has been constructed for you, and you'll be entrenched in that. I want you to get an understanding of like how politics works, the history of extraterrestrial life, and all the high-level reports. I want to like get an understanding on the nature of consciousness, remote viewing, and whatever else. But you have to be very prepared if you want to buy a book from Edward F. Kelly and Paul Marshall, because this is academic writing and has a lot of statistical models and uh, triangulating, which means having three different studies put together in one sentence repeating the same thing. So you're going to have to know how to actively recall that and apply it in your life. Relax. You have to remember to relax in order to study this, absorb it, and understand how to communicate it to the public. which I am working on. And then Stephen Greer. A lot of people think that it is his job to give you evidence, but we have tremendous indirect evidence through seeing the overarching motivations, seeing the overarching conspiracy, seeing the overarching financial incentives of each individual, and kind of put it over like a, you know, how you put two pictures together over each other to make one other picture. It's kind of whatever. You'll get a picture once you see the pattern. And going forward, I shall um, help you get a better understanding of that. Okay, wish you health and happiness in all matters of correspondence. And there is hope for the future. Once the people drop out of the system will panic. And once the system panics, there might be a period of even darker times, but there's always light at the end of the tunnel. Wish you health and happiness and all manners of correspondence. Bye.